Hey guys, welcome back to another n8n tutorial video for healthcare. In the previous episode, we covered hospital accountable discharge and how to deal with accountability when discharging patients from hospitals back into the community. This video will cover about post-discharge follow-up automation using n8n workflow like that. So just a quick overview, every year hospitals spend about a lot of money and resources on readmissions because patients who are discharged actually who go home and they somehow, due to unforeseen circumstances, come back into the hospital in the form of readmissions. And it's because nobody caught those early warning signs in time, right? So in this workflow that we have here, today we'll be building a full post-discharge follow-up automation in n8n. It is not just a single SMS, but the workflow covers even WhatsApp to the point of medication and everything. So a 3-day follow-up schedule around 1 day after discharge, a 3rd day after discharge, and 7 days after discharge really is to create more checks with the patient to make sure that the patient is doing well, right? So medication reminders, automated resupply requests, and this whole flow also has 7 different ways that patients can respond in the form of responding to our messages to say that they need a teleconsult, a booking, they need someone, a care coordinator or a nurse to do home visits. And of course, it also notifies the next of kin. So NOK notification is super duper important because, it makes it, it's like basically involving not just the care team, but people around the patient that can really help and respond fast. So as I mentioned, we also have the WhatsApp as well as SMS channel support and a whole new trail on so-called getting consent and waiting for approvals, as well as getting payments for, medication resupply. Right, so let's get right into it. In a way, this whole flow starts off with a trigger that comes from this thing called a discharge trigger, right? So stage 1 is really where the inpatient discharge happens and it fires a trigger, right? And we can do a certain electronic health record lookup. And then we initialize a counter that tracks and follow-ups based on the number of days in the interval. So remember we spoke about day 1, day 3, day 7. So in a way, it actually analyzes the patient context right here and it waits to schedule based on a certain number of days that you set. So for me, it's 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, right? And then stage 2 really comes on board where we look at the scheduling techniques. So we say we wait for appropriate interval where day 1 is 24 hours post-discharge, day 3 is another 48 hours, and then day 7 is the final check-in to make sure the patient's okay. And then we also check whether, after this day 1, day 3, day 7 check here, we also check for medication resupply. So more often than not, the medication given to patients is probably just enough for them to get through that period. So of course, not all medications can be taken in the long run over a long period of time. So that's why this little ask for a medication resup is more for patients who says, somehow maybe I need a little bit more dosage, a little bit longer, and hence a resupply is required. And then what we do is we kind of like check whether if the patient has fewer than 7 days of supply medication remaining, we will actually fire off this approval request to the doctor or the nurse or the care team or the pharmacist, depending on how your workflow is today. And then we'll wait for a response from the doctor or from the care team whether to approve this resupply, because some drugs can't be taken in the long run. And then once that approval has been kind of like given, it actually triggers, it actually has 2 flows in the sense that, we would trigger the resupply to the patient. And once the resupply to the patient is approved, we can actually activate the payment process. And if the payment is successful, then we activate the delivery process. So you can see this part is pretty kind of like, I guess, easy, kind of like intuitive enough. And of course, if the doctor didn't approve or the care team did not approve that resupply, there is an escalation message or email to the care team, or to even call the patient to kind of like, maybe before you want to give a resupply to the patient, you might want to call the patient first to see whether they are okay. So this is a message to the back to the care team in that sense. Right, so you can see here, there is this little reminder here again that we look at whether we're checking in with the patient down here in terms of whether the patient needs a medication reminder we're giving it through multiple channels, so SMS and WhatsApp, and asking whether the patient, hey, have you been taking your medicine? Right, so actually there is this little check-in stage here, which is stage 3, that really says that we send a patient this structured menu in the form of SMS or WhatsApp. It's not really a very so-called fixed message, but it's more of a wellness so-called care option menu, where they can indicate to us whether they are fine. So that's why there's this thing called whether the patient responded. We check in with the patient through WhatsApp or through SMS, and we actually wait for a response, right? And that's where the no response part has a little escalation. And if the patient replies, then that's a good thing, right? And this is essentially what the different so-called channels that they can reply. They can say, I'm okay, I'm unwell, it's urgent, I need urgent care, I need a teleconsult, I need an earlier appointment to see a doctor, perhaps maybe a care coordinator or a nurse can come and visit me in my home visit, or just resupply of medications, or even one more thing called a fallback. So one of the good things about having this fallback is really, if none of this really works out, there is this fallback plan that kind of like works out in this way that you can kind of like ask, like God knows what the patient would ask other than all these questions. So this is really the fallback of all these options, right? And then there is this, all the other things about, like for example, if they answered, if I'm unwell, you will see this chain here that sends this unwell follow-up message, notifies next of kin right here with through SMS, and even notifies the patient, notifies the physician in the form of an email. So you can see this line here is a form of notification to the physician that the patient is currently unwell. And does the patient really need more follow-up? That's where you decide, the doctor decides, and that's where we log it down in our system. Of course, other things that they can say, that maybe they want a teleconsult, then we can schedule a teleconsult accordingly. So there's this line down here that schedules a teleconsult right here. And perhaps maybe they want an earlier appointment. We can find a way to schedule an earlier appointment, or a home visit that triggers a Slack call to the community health post, or to those volunteers or ambassadors, health ambassadors out there. And of course, this is the part where we talk about initializing of medication resupply. And of course, there is this last bit here, which is the fallback, that basically the patient sent an unknown reply. And that's where you kind of like have to kind of escalate it in the form of a message back to the care team, or even to the physician. So the physician or the care team or the pharmacist could be the one that kind of handles all this. So in a nutshell, as we zoom out, I think we covered most of it. So this is essentially the post-discharge follow-up workflow that we're talking about here. That in summary, it all starts from the discharge level to the point of checking for day 1, day 3, day 7 of the discharge, checking whether the patient needs a resupply, getting the payment up for a resupply, and delivering. And of course, the key element of the whole process is really asking the main questions to the patient. Are you well, unwell, urgent, needing a teleconsult, earlier appointment, home visit, resupply medication, or even a separate channel back to the care team? So all in all, this is the n8n workflow for post-discharge follow-up that potentially a healthcare organization could use to kind of like close the loop and prevent readmission. So yeah, so that comes to the end of this quick tutorial on n8n for healthcare. Do let me know in the comment section below if there are any enhancements that I missed out. And if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye bye.